Hello, it's Steven the Car Guy, and this is Casual Car Talk. So it's been a pretty slow day today. Got all my contact management taken care of. I think I have an appointment for later this evening, but I just really want to tell a really funny story. And so, the car business, man, you see some of the wildest stuff. You experience some of the wildest stuff. So, this was about 8 years ago. No, it was about 8 or 9 years ago, and I was super hungry, and I was super, attentive and alert out on the lot, and I'm ready for action, right? And so, my GM at the time, he would buy really lifted Jeeps, he would buy really lifted trucks, and we would have curb appeal, and we'd have some eye candy out there because where I live in the Midwest is truck country, right? And they want if it ain't got no 612 5.0, whatever the case might be. So everybody was really big into lifted trucks and lifted Jeeps and everything like that. So we ended up having this lifted Jeep, and I had this guy come by, and he was like, man, I want to surprise my wife with this powder blue lifted Jeep, Wrangler Unlimited 4-door Jeep. He's like, but do you take trades? And I was like, of course, we take trades. And he's like, what about a boat? And I'm looking around, I'm like, sir, we're in landlocked Kentucky. Like, what are we gonna do with the boat, right? But me, hungry and thirsty and ready for a deal, I'm like, yeah, just take some pictures of it, send me what it is. So after he had left or whatever, I went to my GM and I said, hey, Lee, I really, really want to earn this guy's business. I think it'll lead to more business, but he wants to trade a boat. And he was like, Steven, we don't trade for boats. We don't do that. And I was like, man, sir, but we've had this Jeep for, a while, and it's been sitting here in our floor plan. Give me a shot. So he continues to tell me no, and I stay in his face for days about this guy, because this guy's messaging me, he's sending me pictures. I get then to start calling around to some of the boat places, because even though we're landlocked and there's lakes and there's people that camp and everything like that, so I'm calling all these boat places and you see if they'll do a buy bid. And what a buy bid is just an outright buy. We do it sometimes for motorcycles and campers and whatever. So nobody, I'm calling every boat dealership, and nobody's willing to give me a buy bid. So I asked my GM, it was like a Friday morning, and I go to him and I sit down and I tell him all what I have and what the guy's willing to buy it like a full sticker too. And I'm like, man, and he's like, look here, Steven, I'm about to leave for the weekend. If you trade for this boat Monday morning, if I come in here and that boat is here, I will fire you on the spot. I'm relatively, still green and new in the car business, and so I'm like, cool. So I call the customer up. I'm like, yeah, we'll trade for it. I was like, what's the number that you want? All the buy bids and everything that I have, are saying it's worth this much. And I think the number was like 12 or 13 or 14, maybe 14,000. So I borrow one of our trucks, a Toyota Tundra. I go all the way out in the middle of nowhere. This guy lives. He had a big, beautiful farm. And he's showing me this truck. Showing me the boat, and I'm like, yeah, that sounds cool. Help me load this mug up. I ain't never trailered anything a day in my life anyway, so I'm already scared. Not only A, because I don't know how I'm gonna sell this boat, but B, getting this boat back to my dealership. So we load the boat up. I get it on the road, and get back to the dealership. I'm driving the slowest possible. A, because I'm dreading getting this vehicle. I don't know where I'm gonna park it. I don't know where I'm gonna put this boat, and so I'm driving like 20 miles below the speed limit. And I finally get to my dealership, and as I'm pulling in, it was at this 4-way intersection. It's a really weird intersection to get into the dealership, and I pull in, and this red truck cuts me off, and I'm like, oh man. So we kind of play the cat and mouse game, and he finally lets me go. So I pull into my dealership, and he pulls in right behind me. And he's like, hey, buddy, what you doing with that boat there? I said, man, it's for sale. I know that much. And so he says, man, I tell him through the specs and how many hours the motor has on it and how many, the weight and all the good stuff, all the paperwork that the customer gave me. And I showed it to him, and he's like, man, I'll make you an offer right now. At this point in time, I'm entertaining any offer. And so I remember I have 14 in it. And he's like, man, I'll give you 17.5 for it. Mind you, this boat is still on the trailer, still on this truck, and I'm like, sold. Let's go. I don't even park. I pull up front long ways, picking up like 6 or 7 parking spaces. I take the customer in there. I'm like, yeah, he wants to buy the boat. Boom, that Monday morning meeting, my GM comes in. He's like, he's addressing everyone, and he's talking. He's like, hey, Steven, did you trade for that boat? Did you get rid of that Jeep? I said, yeah. He said, where's the boat at? I said, well, I sold it the same day. Man, let me tell you this. You couldn't tell me nothing. Bow Wow was the man. I'm walking around, chest out, you know what I'm saying? You couldn't tell me nothing. And my GM, he's an old school car guy, old dinosaur, but he just looked at me, he gave me one of these. I was like, huh? Come again? Huh? But anyways, that's just a funny story, and there'll be some other stories, but I just wanted to share that one with you because, in this business, you can kind of get caught up in the day-to-day operations. You can be behind the 8 ball in the numbers. You can be behind the 8 ball in your draw, but there's always, as long as you keep a positive attitude, and as long as you always keep your eyes out for the next customer. And that's the beauty. That's why I've been in the car business so long, because every day is a new day. Every interaction is a new day. Every month is a new month. Every customer is a different new customer. And so, one customer might beat you to death. One customer might, not buy. This person might jerk you around for hours. You might have a creditly challenged person that just takes up all your damn time. It is what it is, but it's always on to the next. And so in that instance, man, as scared as I was, and as nervous and in fear I was of my job, the Lord had a plan. And so that's just one of many funny stories I have in this business, and I'll keep them coming. This is Steven the Car Guy, and this is Casual Car Talk.